Hi, this is Becky from Icing on Top Becky's Cakes, and today we're going to make blackberry buttercream, and I'm going to use freeze-dried blackberries, blackberry extract, and fresh blackberries. And this combination really gets you the best blackberry flavor in your buttercream. We're going to start by taking our freeze-dried blackberries, and we're going to go ahead and put that right into our blender. Now I'm going to need 3 tablespoons of the powder, so I'm just going to pulse this once to make it more of a powder and break it all up. And then I'm going to pour it out in another bowl and set it aside, and then when the recipe calls for it, I can go ahead and put 3 of the tablespoons in. And there, that's about all you really need to get those freeze-dried blackberries into the kind of powder and tiny little pieces that you want to make texture in your buttercream, and also add really good flavor. Now I'm going to take my 6 ounces of fresh blackberries, and I'm going to go ahead and put those in and blend those really good into a really good puree. I'm also going to add just about 1/4 of a lemon. I'm going to squeeze that right directly on my blackberries because that helps add a little bit of tartness to them, and that improves the flavor. And I'd say that's approximately about 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. And now it's really important that when we do blend this, we're going to make sure that it is completely into a puree and that there's no chunks. Because if you have any chunks or any pieces of fruit, tiny pieces of fruit, then eventually as that buttercream sits overnight with those tiny pieces of fruit in it, those fruit will release their moisture and it will separate your buttercream. So that's why I use the freeze-dried blackberries, so that I do get those tiny little chunks of a blackberry in there and the flavor, but I don't have the fresh fruit, which will cause my buttercream to separate overnight. At first it might look okay, but then overnight you'll realize, oh no, it's separated. Why did it do that? Well, it's because of that moisture in the fruit. So we're going to make this puree really good so that there's nothing but liquid. And then we're going to use 1/4 of this cup, and we're going to blend it really, really good with the room temperature butter. And as we blend that really good with the butter, it mixes really well. And so that also, because of the acidity, that's why you want to mix it with the butter first. And that'll also help not separate the buttercream. So always mix with the butter first. So that's 1 cup of butter here, and we'll go ahead and put that 1/4 cup right in there. And we're going to blend this really good on a medium speed for about 5 minutes, or until you can tell that it's really well incorporated to each other. And now the remaining blackberry puree, we're just going to set that aside. And I'm going to put a teaspoon of sugar in that puree that I'm setting aside. And later what I'm going to do is we're going to use that to drizzle on top of our cupcakes, and that just really adds yummy flavor. That puree, and I'm just going to set it aside. I'm going to stick it in the fridge for now, and then we'll come back to it later when we top our cupcakes. Okay, so now we'll come back to our butter and blackberry puree, and I'm going to scrape the sides to make sure there's no butter left on the side. And then after everything is scraped, we're going to add our 5 cups of confectioner's sugar. I use the Domino's brand just because that is pure cane, so any pure cane sugar is great because it's really nice and smooth and not gritty like any of the cheaper powder sugars that are made from like beets. Those just don't get as smooth. They have a little bit of grittiness to them. So this is about 5 cups here, and this will make it nice and stiff for piping and stuff. But if you're trying to smooth this on a cake, you can do this, but it's a little easier if you just use 4 cups of powdered sugar if you're smoothing it on a cake. But if you're piping it on, just go ahead and do the 5 cups. Then I'm adding my half a teaspoon of salt there. And then I'm going to use blackberry extract, and the kind I used today was from Olive Nation, and that is just one brand of blackberry extract, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of different brands are probably good, but I'd definitely test them first. And so we're just putting in 2 teaspoons of that to add a little boost to our blackberry flavor. Then I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 tablespoons of our freeze-dried blackberries that we've already ground up. And then I'm going to go ahead and blend all of these on low for a few minutes until it's well incorporated. We don't want to get any extra air bubbles in there, so that's why we do it on low. And we only do it until it's mixed in really well, and you can scrape the sides and be able to tell that it's well blended. Because if you over mix it or you mix it on high, then you're going to be getting those air bubbles in, and those just don't look as pretty when you're piping. You can see after scraping it, I just decided to go around one more time to make sure that everything that I scraped in was all mixed in really well. And now it'll be ready to pipe on our cupcakes. And I'm going to use a 1M tip, and I'm just going to pipe that right on our cupcakes. And so here are our cupcakes. If you want to see how I filled them with blackberry filling, and it's super yummy. If you want to see how to fill it, just check out my how to fill a cupcake video. And what I do is to pipe our blackberry buttercream right on top, I start in the middle and I just go around, and the main thing that keeps it looking fluffy is you're piping right above where you want to go, and you let it come out of your bag and you apply the pressure instead of pressing down. And if you press down, it just comes out more flat. So you just want to stay above it and go around that circle. And that's our yummy blackberry buttercream. And I'm so excited by these because it's chocolate cupcakes with blackberry filling and blackberry buttercream, which is absolutely yummy. And after we get all of our blackberry buttercream on there, I am going to put what's left over from our puree, and I'm going to put that in a bag, and I'm going to just drizzle that right on top. So I put it in this piping bag, and I cut off a little bit of the tip. I'm just going to hold it in such a way, and I'm just going to drizzle that, just squirt it right on top. And that just adds a little bit of extra flavor, and it looks yummy too. And then I go ahead and top that with a blackberry, and that'll be it. But yeah, thanks for joining me today as we made our blackberry buttercream, and please subscribe to my channel.